you?
I forget. Mhm. Is it going? What y'all want to talk about today? Hmm.
Got a fun anecdote or story that's relevant to the group. So Sam is not joining right now because I think he's at a circling group, but it just worked out that it's in the Boston area, and he remembered that I'm here. So he actually reached out, and it started Friday, and it goes through today and it ends tonight. But he actually came and stayed with me and my wife Thursday evening. So we all got to kind of have dinner together and hang out, and meet in person, which was awesome. And no, it wasn't Thursday night, Friday morning. So he stayed over Thursday night. Friday morning so one of the other participants was going to just pick him up to take him to the circling. And he and I, we were just chatting. My wife had already gone into work and completely unplanned. I was talking about work stress or something. And he just pointed out like, oh yeah, what does that feel like? And I was like, it's here. And within what was probably 2 or 3 minutes, he had, and I think it was unintentional, it was not planned, dropped me straight in. I was like bawling my eyes out and just coming into contact with, whoa, what is this? And like layer after layer after layer. And it was crazy. And I mean, in the best possible way. And just like, yeah. Um, so that just happened.
Y'all just did a two-man circle.
Pretty much, which I've never done circling before. So
Mhm.
maybe, I mean, I've heard of it and I've seen it, and I don't know if it was exactly that, but I didn't have strong expectations. And again, it was not, I was thinking like, we're just gonna have chit chat in the morning. And it was just like, boom.
It's cool.
And
Do you want to talk about what it was, or do you just
oh,
detail, or do you want to just?
sure. I mean, it basically relating to, I need to feel back into it. Um, Not knowing if I was had done something wrong, like, when I'm very young, if I'd done something wrong to make a parental figure angry. And in hindsight, as an adult, I know like, oh, clearly I hadn't, and there was this other situational details. But it was really interesting how the feeling of it had a strong sense of that period of time. And there was this weird, not weird, but interesting way that he almost guided me of kind of not intellectualizing it, but bringing in the sort of adult me now awareness of what actually happened to kind of communicate or I don't know how to say this without sounding like pop psychology, but I'll just describe the experience of it. Um, Communicate with that feeling that I've done something wrong and not tell it intellectually, but kind of show it like, no, you didn't. Like those physical sensations don't have to be interpreted as I've done something wrong. And then it was probably a minute or two of just staying with that. And it was, these sensations are uncomfortable, but they don't actually mean that I have to hide or apologize or do something in the way that I expect I usually do have to.
Right.
And I kept trying to go up to the mind, and very gently he just pointed like, see what just happened there? And I wasn't like, oh, you need to not do that, but just like, oh, you're right. I went to the mind to try to avoid it and then to like gently come back. And it was just a few minutes and a lot of crying. Um, and then it was just kind of softer, like the sensations were still there, but they weren't threatening. And then over the weekend, actually, so this was when he's already at the circling, but I was at a birthday party with some friends, and a very small version of that came up of just something where like, someone's upset, and I have this instinctive sense of like, oh no, I've done something wrong, I have to apologize, but I didn't. And very, very small. So I'm not trying to say it's had some like huge, long-lasting effect, but it's just very interesting.
That's cool. You see there the difference too. viscerally in like because you're very logic brained, right? And
Oh
you
yeah.
see the difference, but you see the difference in talking about awakening and a realization as like a bunch of ideas and like, oh, does this mean this or does this mean
Yep.
this or am I? You see the difference between talking about the path and walking it.
Yeah,
It's like
although
you can be grabbed like that by thought, but the nitty gritty, the real stuff is right here in direct experience and looking at it in direct experience.
it is, but I've also wondered if I've okay, so this is actually connected what you just said to another belief or something that kind of clicked. I forget if it was right before or right after that. I put something in the Telegram chat where I think there's some uh, observations that I've been throwing out or disregarding because I've thought that they are just logical thoughts. And I've really, really ingrained in myself, like, okay, this is very much you have to experience it, not think your way through it, because I know that's a failure mode because I'm such an analytical person. And so but what I think these are is there are thoughts associated with the understanding, but they're coming from the direct experience, right? It's not logically concluding like, oh, I shouldn't feel this way, or oh, I'm not here. It's more from the direct experience of the sensations or of this.
Mhm.
From that, it is sort of almost in a stupidly simple way, just like, oh, there literally isn't me here, or these sensations literally aren't anything more than the sensations.
Mhm.
And I've been throwing that out like that's not it, that's not it, that's not it, because that sounds like a logical conclusion, but it's one that's anchored in that I wouldn't have been able to believe without the sort of direct experiential part of it.
Yeah.
That's where words are tricky.
Well, that's not that what you're talking about. I still count as talking about it in direct experience. You're not philosophizing. You're looking at your thoughts and the ideas in the present, and you're not talking about is this consciousness or is this or that. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
you're looking at your experience. That's what I mean by that. And I don't mean you have to viscerally feel. I'm not talking about just feeling your emotions. I'm talking about you're doing inquiry. You're doing it now. You're not talking
Yeah.
about in the future or what happens when we die or or you're not
Right.
talking logically about philosophies and stuff. This is not philosophizing. This is looking in your direct experience and seeing the thoughts and the beliefs and the stuff that make it up and how it affects the emotional stuff and all that.
And that what you just articulated, that distinction is clear to you and probably clear to most people, but I had thought all of that counted as thinking or trying to use logic. And so probably for years, I've been automatically discounting anything that I get from that as, oh, that can't be it,
Yeah.
because that's thinking and that's logic, and this is supposed to be experiential.
Mm.
But just in the last, what's today, Sunday, one and a half or 2 days, like since that, I've entertained like, well, what if I don't discard those? And I just sort of, as you said, treat as like observations of direct experience. And there's kind of just been this sudden exponential snowball effect of, oh, there's like who is the one who's not coming back to presence? Oh, there's actually just nothing here. And that's the
Right.
thing that I've thrown that out 1,000 times.
Mm.
But now it's like, wait, if I actually just act, don't expect there to be anything more than that. I've thrown that out. It's like, okay, that can't be it. I have to wait to find what's the big shift or big change in experience. And now it's like, wait, what if it is that? Oh yeah, that applies. Wait, there isn't anyone. And it just like every little thing, it's showing up.
Mm.
And yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. It's
So does everyone see how that's not a path? That's just you having a block of a certain way of looking at a view, and then you
yeah,
had a change, and then you see it, and it all happened within this field, and it always has. So you're not
yes,
on a path, it's just different seeings. So, like, even after realization, and you realize there's no separate self, thoughts are still appearing as one of the five senses. It's still experience.
Yeah,
So it's not that you get rid of thoughts or you don't use them in any way. You just thought you had a belief that, oh, that's logic. I don't need to mess with thoughts at all because that's logic. Or I'm
right.
not going to look at it. But
Yeah,
it's like that, but inquiry into thoughts is also inquiry. But the difference is you're not in the thought loop of logic and philosophizing. You're in the seeing of
I
watching
see.
thoughts without getting caught in them and
Yeah, but it's just
seeing how they affect and how emotions come up, and you're looking through reality's eyes at the processes of the algorithm. That's what I'm trying to talk about when I talk about clear seeing, looking through reality's
okay.
eyes. You're not in
But
the loop and talking about philosophizing about this and that and oh this is it's looking like, oh, what thoughts are rising now. So that, and then you see that thoughts were never arising from you, from Sean.
mm,
They're conditioned patterns of an algorithm experience that's continuously changing. So that, yeah, that's what you're seeing. You're seeing that.
yeah, but Tony, nothing is different about it. That's the weird thing. Like, and I don't want to. Sorry, I get excited on these Zoom groups just because it's fun to talk about it. I'm not drawing any conclusions, but I really, really expect. I don't know that it something has right. People use the word shift or change or but but you can without there being any change to the thoughts, right? Like
It's
it's
recognition.
just not what it says it is.
You're recognizing it or realizing you're having you have a realization about something. Anytime you have, or like if you want to call it something lesser, you having insight. The insight is not within the loop. The full-on realization might be, oh, there was never anyone here who's separate from experience. And it's like, oh, that's like an
Yeah.
awakening.
But it doesn't feel any different from any other realization in terms of quality. I mean, and I'm not
Well,
saying,
I'm saying that's why I'm saying it's like an insight. If you
yeah,
have a realization, you're going to know the difference.
okay,
You'll know the difference. It'll be a
okay.
shift. It'll be a complete shift in how you experience life after that.
Okay, so I'm going to keep pulling on this thread.
What
Or
I'm telling you, what I'm trying to explain to you that's good is that before you're just like talking about it in philosophy and like, oh, it's this or it's like that, or I think it might be this. And now you're in it. You're looking at it. You're not
Mm,
philosophizing. You're looking at what are the beliefs that are holding this reality together, and how does it go back to this childhood belief that I had about this. And that's why when you talk to Sam about it and whatever Sam did and he was talking to you got you into the visceral experience,
hmm.
that's life, that's living, that's right here. And you're
Right,
pulling it
yeah.
up. Like I talked to Sam the day before he went to see you, I talked to him and I was telling him when I did this stuff, shadow stuff, and I put it in a video because I'd forgotten about it. But instead of going into the small child as a memory, I
Mm,
brought the small child into the field of awareness.
hmm.
And you said something at the beginning about the adult you looking at it. So
Yeah,
it's like instead of having to go, it's like I draw that identity as a memory into right here,
yeah,
and it has the protection of the adult experience or field of awareness or recognition that has had whatever at whatever level it is, and then lets it be safe here to
yeah.
feel those things again or to be feel like they're protected. It's just a reversal. It's just how I look at it that I think that I like better. Doesn't mean it's better. It's just how I like to do it better.
Yeah, and I think when I'd heard people describe I always imagined, and I'm not saying it couldn't be this way for other folks, but I assumed it had to be you kind of go into the memory and you're almost like going somewhere else, and it's that never did anything or clicked in any way. But this
But
was
where are you
much
going to
more,
go? The memory's taking place right here. You
yeah,
know, there's nowhere to
it's
go.
just the physical sensations and the emotions are here now, and if you lean into that, then whatever is associated it is there or here.
Well,
Yeah.
this is you're pulling it apart. You're
Yeah.
pulling experience apart. You're pulling your algorithm apart. So when you see that and you had that emotional that energy come up, and you said something too about seeing that tacked on emotional thing with the thought is not really related.
Right. It's not the same thing.
Not the
There's
same.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, not to try to say, oh, there's all these different things, but the the emotion or the feeling, like
Hmm.
both the literal physical sensations as well as just the feeling tone of it,
Hmm.
that can that can be observed regardless of whether the story or the thoughts about it are there or not. Right? They're usually taken to be the same thing, but they're not the same thing.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I'm talking in circles now, but it's interesting. Things are just like I found a new way to pull things apart.
Yeah. I'm just saying it's really good that you're not like when we talked before at the retreats, it's like you were all in your head and now you're not. And that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. I'm saying it's really
Okay.
good. And that's how, I mean, that's how you're having insights and you're seeing the stuff you're putting in the group about your insights when you do, it's like they're spot on. And I'm like, I'm telling you, I'm like, yeah, that's what you're doing. You're looking at it now, like
Yeah.
in a way that doesn't cover it up in a thought loop. You're looking. And that's like great.
Yeah, it's I guess to close that out, I'm realizing or I'm giving myself permission to look at thoughts without feeling like I'm doing inquiry wrong by having thoughts be a part of it.
Right. It was blocking you. It was
Yeah,
blocking
it
you.
really was. It's
That's the
so
belief. That's the belief in present
yes.
that's operating, that's blocking something. And that's what I mean when I talk about looking at beliefs as they're happening. That's how you really, I mean, you can look at beliefs in general, and that's fine. It works really well and all that. But when you catch a belief operating in your direct experience and you start to pull it, you have the time or the patience to pull that thread and pull it apart. That's when you really can bring like frameworks down and scaffolding falls and like, whoa, it could be destabilizing because those thoughts and belief they're operating all the time to hold your experience like in a solid feeling place.
Hmm.
When you pull one of those off and it's like, whoa, or it can even feel real great. You can be like, oh wow, that was blocking me from really doing it. This is amazing. And then it's more
Yeah,
freedom.
I can let go of that constraint. Like
Yeah.
I don't actually have to worry about that. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's
So either you might get like a fear or a destabilization or uncomfortable because that belief has been protecting you from direct
yeah,
experience, disassociating. But now, so you might feel a little bit of fear at first, but when you work through it, it'll always lead to more freedom. And
yeah,
in a case like what you saw with your belief, it led to direct freedom right then and there because it's not necessarily an emotional belief. It's more just
right.
like a stabilizing belief. And you're like, oh, this is blocking me. And you know, you're like, that's also like getting a foothold on the thing. It's like a foothold.
Mhm.
It's like, oh, I see this. Now that I've seen this, there's a new baseline here for doing inquiry. You know, it's like you can go back into it and be like, oh, now that I don't have that belief blocking me in the inquiry. And you might find other ones and they're all over the place.
Cool.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, it's like amazing work. Yeah. That's the point. That's the point to all this.
Thank you. What generic you think of me. Um, Another little crack that came from this circling thing was seeing that after there was some more direct connection with the physical sensation and seeing that that's not the same as the reaction, there was a huge relaxing of the anger, fear directed at the person in the memory that I thought was causing it because it was a lot clearer that they are innocent and I'm now reacting in the present to just the sensation. But what that also did is it sort of flipped around how threatening it feels to perceive someone else thinking something about me that I don't want them to, because that doesn't feel like as solid or concrete a view that they have. I mean, that's still, I guess, ego wanting to protect its reputation, but it feels less personal seeing that other people's perception of me in those sort of reactive situations is largely a reaction to their own sensations and could drop like that if they were to see through it. Maybe they never will, but it means it's not actually me, right? It's not solid and threatening in that way.
And it's all empty. It's just the belief that makes it feel solidified.
Yeah.
And what you just said about you saw the emotion, you saw they weren't related per se, and you said you relaxed, and then there was less grasping. So what I would say to you, what you were talking about earlier, is when you do that in the moment of a belief, you feel that ungrasping, you feel that releasing. When you have a realization and you see the selfing as identified as a separate self is not there, the ungrasping ungrasped in the whole field of experience. So then from then on, you're ungrasping, you are ungrasping. So every experience you have then is less grasping than it was before. That's what seeing through the identification does. And then you look for the pockets of grasping or whatever you want to say
Mm,
from then on and just, but that's a difference is that seeing through that from the center, seeing through that, it's less grasping everywhere, not just in a
mm,
particular insight
mm,
or a belief. And then that makes obviously a huge difference in relating to other people and reactivity. And you're just not grasping as much. You're just not trying to change their experience. And then you mastery, or getting better at is not changing your own experience. Then you're just living in immediacy. You're not grasping. You are reality. So that's like, like in Dzogchen, you see it first, like that as a giant insight. You see what you really are, that ungrasping field of neutrality. And then after that, you spend the rest of your time removing any obstacles that so you are allowed to stay in that neutrality more and more, like a larger and larger gap of always being in that neutrality. So like, yeah, Dzogchen's just one realization followed by removing any obstacle that
mm.
that keeps you from being in that realization or out of alignment. And then, other things have multiple realizations and maps and all kinds of maps. But that's the difference between what you're talking about earlier, I would
Got it.
say, is you see it in one moment and it releases and grasps. You're like, oh,
Mm.
seeing it through the whole thing ungrasps the whole field.
Cool.
Yeah.
Annie, are you going to change the topic or is it about this?
No, it's about this.
It's about it? Oh, go ahead then.
Um, Tony, can you talk so I can see you?
Yeah.
I don't have my glasses anyway, so I can barely see you. But um, so I was also going to add that, like, when I'm coming from like wounded place, like quote unquote wounded place, I can't see clearly, anyways. You know what I mean? It's like I honestly don't know if the person's behaving that way when I'm coming from like a certain angle because I'm seeing it with a filter. Like I've just to become more interested in like what's going on internally. Like I had an experience, I think 2 days ago, where I was talking to somebody and I had like something they said or like what I thought they said and like their actions. Like all of a sudden, I had this like full on like abandonment experience. Like I felt like I was 5 years old, and I felt like I was like 5 years old, just like sitting in a room, left alone. And I wanted to say something like you guys were talking about to like clear it up, but I just became more interested in like what was going on internally. And I've heard somebody call that like a trance, like a past trance, like when we get pulled into that. And I saw that it happened so fast. Like I got pulled into that. I felt like I was like just a kid. And then I love what you said, Tony, about like pulling your child like back, because that kind of happened, that experience. Like all of a sudden I was like back into my adult self, but I still felt the feelings like the loneliness, the rejection, abandonment, and I was kind of surprised. Like I felt gratitude for being able to feel it. Like I was like, oh my God, like I felt thankful for that person that they were like a trigger to like show me this.
Hmm.
And I never said anything to them. Like the whole thing just happened. And then I just like went on with my day. And, but I still had to process, like I say process, those feelings still needed to move. And they did. But it was just kind of a cool experience. And, like I still don't even know like if that was their intention or not. I have no idea. But like it's still, I think the thing is like when certain things get kind of resolved inside me, even when somebody else is doing something like that, it doesn't matter as much because I could just see, I'm like, oh, that's your whole little like thing going on over there. Like you can do your thing. That's okay.
Yeah.
You know?
it's much more important to see your own response, your own child wound or whatever in that moment than it is to respond to them for sure. I mean, responding, especially with a good boundary if you need to, is totally fine. There's nothing wrong with it at all. If you're responding, if you respond back defensively or from reactivity, it is going to be what it is. You know, it may not be good or it might end up being okay, but it's definitely more important to look at it from where you were able to look at it from. And then that's also a version of clear seeing. And then you had gratitude for having the clear seeing to see that in the moment. I
Yeah.
mean, that's great. I mean, that's what you need on this path to not become a victim.
Well, I've heard you and Alyssa talk about that, and I've always like had some resistance to like gratitude for whatever reason, even though it was like drilled into me in AA, but I've always had resistance towards it. And that voice message you left me the other day, you were talking about like a let me like a like a it wasn't like a perspective shift, but it was like a way of seeing things like in a different way. And you did mention gratitude, where like when I'm doing my like shadow work stuff in the morning or whenever it is, whenever it comes up, there was a feeling of like victimhood that like I'm starting to see where it's like, oh, I'm suffering, like I'm just gonna suffer forever. I'm just like that like emotional self-flagellation thing that we talked about. And that component was there and I didn't see it to the degree that it was, where it was like a real position that I was in. And
Yeah.
then when we were talking, I was like, oh my God, like I've had this like nihilistic slant that I in the way that I see the world for like I don't even know how long.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even like I like reached for gratitude. Like I was like, oh, I'm going to be grateful now and look for gratitude. It wasn't like that. It was just once I saw that I had this slant, then it just left more room for like when emotion comes, at least in the last 2 days, when emotion comes, I'm just like, I don't know. It's just so cool that it can be here
Yeah.
and that it has room to move.
I frame gratitude not as positivity at all. I frame it as humility. You don't need positivity to be full of gratitude. You need humility. I don't know what this is. I don't know what to do about it. I have gratitude that I'm even able to look at it. I have gratitude that I can breathe one more time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You don't need to be positive to have gratitude. It's not positivity. Gratitude is not positivity. It's for me, it's full on humility. It's, oh wow, I don't know yet. I'm still here. Or you know what I mean? It's like I'm still walking around. Any moment I could die, but I'm not. Got gratitude. It's not
Yeah.
positive,
No, it,
or you could be dying and have gratitude for the morphine that takes the pain away.
yeah.
But you know you're going to die any moment. It's like you still have gratitude. It's like,
Yeah. It
but
was
what
like,
you were talking about is
yeah.
really important.
Yeah.
When you're talking about the shadow work and you said the victim framing came up and the nihilism and all, that's why I also talk about that the insight needs to be done with shadow work, if not at the same time, in fits and starts with it as you go, because doing the shadow work's important, but you can also victimize your trauma for the rest of your life and keep going, oh, this is me, this happened to me, I'm da 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 da, and you can go to 14,000 circling events and go deep and be upset again and again and again, processing for the rest of your life. You have to see what the processing is and what it's actually made of at some point to let it pass, to see that like Sean was talking about, you have to see that those emotions are not, they're not shadow, they're not bad, they're not other than the field itself. That's how you see them. You recognize the flavor that you're putting onto those things, like nihilism or victimization. You see that, and you see that it doesn't have to be that way. And then you see that the field has all the power, not the emotion. You see that it's just an expression that's expressing. It doesn't, it's neutral. It doesn't mean that something is happening to Annie. That's a belief, that's a view. But from the view of the field or whatever, the neutrality, all is welcome, all is allowed all the time because it's made of the same. the same thing. It expresses as that. So you see how important it is to while you're doing that to not let yourself believe in the flavors of the even like saying shadow work is like it sounds negative. It sounds dark and like oh, but it's like this dark side of the moon. It's something not seen at the moment.
Yeah, I like when you said that. You said that in the message to me too.
That okay.
Yeah, and I like that a lot. And actually that really hit for me. And also like you talk about your childhood some, and I feel like I was kind of holding on to, like, I also had like a violent childhood and it was really difficult, and I was like, why do I have to do more work than other people? But you know what, a lot of people have it harder than I had it, like, and I'm not that that makes it better or worse. I'm just saying that like that position was like something that I held on to as an identity. Like,
Oh
I
yeah.
really hard, and
Every single person here has a right or not a right, but a reason to say I am a victim of this life in one form or another.
mhm.
But, you know, I was going to make a video about this sometime too, but it's the basics of it is you're not broken. My father's not broken for what he did to me, and I'm not broken because of him. No matter what you've done to someone or what they've done to you, you're not broken. It's just misperceiving, and that's causing a lot of disasters in the world. But if you look at it from the view of victimhood or from the view of, aggressor or that I'm a piece of shit for what I did, then you have a locked in belief that will never allow it to flow again, that will keep it solidified. Whether you have that belief about the person that did it to you or the belief about yourself that you did to a person, it is ultimately a belief. And it's not good. It's not good whatever happened to you. It's definitely not good what happened to me. But it's also like you're going to hold on to that the rest of your life and let that belief solidify your experience now, from now until death, so you can't live a life you want because of an old thing that happened. It's not a good idea in my
I mean,
view.
that's what I'm doing, but until I mean, who knows why you see things at certain times, but like when you left that message, something kind of loosened there.
Yeah, it's like so important to always just see the frame you're operating from, to see the beliefs and the view you're taking towards anything, towards shadow work, towards meditation. That's what I like to talk about a lot because those little tiny views, if Sean didn't see that view he was taking towards the thoughts, not being, I mean, he might do that for years and not get anywhere. But if he's really looking like he's looking and you're really looking like you're looking, you are going to come upon the blocks that are blocking you and you're going to release them.
Yeah.
If you see them clearly enough, if you grasp and start getting a victim about them, they got you. They're taking you right back in. But if you just see them clearly, they dissolve into the emptiness that they are because you're seeing them from the field and you're realizing, oh, the power is here, but not as a person. It's the power of the field or the, unconditioned to condition something and then let it uncondition by seeing it's empty. It's not even that the field or you uncondition something because that's grasping. That's like I got to make this happen. It's just seeing it for what it is, and then it releases
Yeah.
all on its own.
Thank you.
Yeah. Jeff or Alyssa, whoever.
All right. First thing that when when you were talking about when you went into your little piece about gratitude being humility and not positivity, I just listening to that immediately, I kind of got very centered in the body and was like receptive to it and checking like, is this thing? How does the whole system feel about that? So anyway, I think you should clip that shit and make that a YouTube short.
Oh yeah, okay.
That it was really strong and it was very like self-contained. It was really
That's a
good.
good idea.
So
I need to
yeah,
make some shorts. I've only made one.
well, you got a second one.
Shorts are
Um,
hard. Shorts are hard because you're like Even
Gotta
videos are
figure out
hard.
how to
I
clip
start
them at the
talking, I'm
end.
like, I need to make a 10-minute video, and it ends up being like 23 minutes, and I'm like,
But that was that. I think like a lot of them are like found in other things, right? Like that thing was like a minute long, and it was kind of had a beginning and end. Anyway,
yeah.
and then I was just gonna make a comment on some stuff that was back a ways, but that like with several people have talked about when in conflict with other people, or you're with your family and everyone's running their algorithms and pressing on each other, and I want to impose this on everyone else and all that. And I think it was great that like Rachel was talking about being able to feel the sensations and stuff and in the body. And after, for me, when those happen afterwards, it kind of lingers for a little while and you can check on it. But also like when doing the shadow work later, kind of like what Sean did, you can pull those into the present. If you like, one of the shadow work exercises has been just like going back over the conflicts and arguments that I've had, and those things, they can come right back up in like the very, very safe space. And so they've been really great pointers for me, to sit with them. Anyway, that was it.
Cool. Did you hit a bunch of traffic the other day on your way home?
No, I
No?
didn't.
Wow,
Yeah. By the way, on Wednesday, Tony and I had an in-person 101 because I live in North Carolina, so it's only like an hour away, which is excellent. I didn't know you were here until the time you were talking about the weather at the beginning of the thing and how much snow it
Hmm.
was. I was like, oh, hey, he's
Oh yeah.
nearby. I'm in that snow.
I didn't
By
know
the way,
you were either.
I did an audio recording kind of recapping that, and I'll post it in Telegram after the session today, after this.
Oh, okay, cool. Melissa.
Hi. So cool. So many cool things from the very beginning with Sean and Rachel and Annie and Jeff. Just just there's quite a cool theme today. And before I forget about the gratitude thing, when you said that, Tony was and Annie was saying that, yeah, I was reflecting on gratitude the other day. Um, actually, in an AA meeting, it was sort of the topic, um, and when you said, it reframing it as humility, like I would argue that it can't be done. Otherwise, it's just bypassing if it's not humility, right? You're just like kind of talking about it and it's aspirational and inauthentic, perhaps. And maybe you can lean into it and like stir those things up, but then it becomes authentic. But I agree with you. Um, so yeah, when I heard Sean, well, first I wanted to ask Sean when he first started talking, when he first said that that thing happened at my first, like I said to myself, like, oh, I wonder what his relationship has been with emotional release at all. Like, do you cry? Like is it like accessible, or was that like a sudden, flooding? And you can answer if you want. I just got curious.
I can say briefly, and I don't want you to forget other things you were going to say. Uh, I actually would consider myself throughout my whole life a pretty sensitive and empathetic person. Um, but and so there is a lot of feeling, but very much also someone who felt like I have to be very controlled in how and where that's expressed. And so there's been always a strong sort of coupling to others' emotions, but immediately going to the mind's um, describing how that should be
Should be.
interpreted or allowed or permitted. And this was one of, I'd almost describe it like bottom up instead of top down, sort of who is not even who's in charge, because that's like one against the other, but it was the sense of like, oh, this doesn't have to be an adversarial relationship. Um, if that
Mm,
makes sense. It's kind of like, this can allow this, and it doesn't have to guard it or control it or contain it.
so good. Thanks. I was just curious. I'm just happy for you. That was a really cool share. Um, And then Rachel, when you were talking, what I heard was, oh, they're talking about the same exact thing. And just kind of you're coming into it from a harsher um, standpoint of being around those triggers but having to feel all that stuff. And I have a lot of experience with that too, especially in family situations or the social dynamics. Like, and it's been really helpful to kind of notice. It's sort of already been talked about as maybe a little going a little back too far, but um recognizing how other people are operating from their own set of frameworks and all of their own conditioning, all the things that created their protections and veils and, ways of operating in their whole lifetime that actually have nothing to do with me either. And I'm also doing mine. And the way that I see that selfing, and you sort of said it, and Sean, you sort of said it too, is like, it made me want to say, like, can you see how we're just trying to defend an identity, like defend who I think I am? You need to know this. Like, I have this Polaroid over here that says, I thought of that again. It's like, but there's like this defending to keep making it. And it's like, you don't have to keep making it. And like arguments or dinner table. I remember talking to Tony about like a family dinner table situation talk getting into politics and stuff. And you can and I just have like no appetite to engage in the argumentative aspects of that anymore. I might have before. There's just not a lot of drive there. And you can, if you listen and watch, it's like very noticeable how people are sort of just like continuing to propagate who they are onto the other person. And it's like neither are really communicating, right? Like with like in a way. And it just reminds me that like I think you said, well, and nobody really can, right? Nobody really can understand. And I would say, well, two people in presence actually can drop into that and feel it and share it together, because nobody is asserting anything. Like nobody is trying to make something that isn't there, be true, I think. Um, and gosh, there was like, I don't know, one or two other things. I don't know if I'll remember, but it's sort of about the making and the building of frameworks trying to, and just sort of like either we're doing it to stabilize, like Tony said, or doing it, or maybe you said that, Sean, or doing it to defend something, right? And like seeing those beliefs operating in real time reveal the frameworks. It's like it's like seeing behind the curtain all of a sudden, and being like, huh, that doesn't actually need to be there. If you're seeing it, you're already outside of it, so to speak, and you can sort of be like, oh, that's been obscuring, like saying everything should go this way uh actually limits, like it creates a like a reality tunnel. We used to talk about that, remember, Tony?
Yeah.
Being in a reality tunnel, like you're the way that, like, if I see that things, this is how I am and this is how it should go, I'm looking through this big of a tunnel and not see, and that is not seeing things as they are. That's living in a very limited reality. um and you start to notice all those different ones that you are employing all the time. um Gosh, there was something else related to a later comment, but it's been such a cool discussion. Oh, I know what it was. Seeing Jamie reminds me, because I feel bad. I wanted to say something about this, Jamie, back when you were saying, I'm going to be going to see family. And I expect that that's going to be hard. And then Rachel was talking about family. And we're talking about all these, like all this work we're doing to see through these things. But in actuality, it is very difficult, right? In the moment, like those are long hours in those situations. That can be, it is very tiring. I think, Rachel, you said it is exhausting. I find it extremely exhausting and I need a lot of rest after being in contact with that stuff. And both, I mean, Tony and I are very similar, need a lot of downtime, a lot of alone time, a lot of time to reset and privacy. Like it's just, whew. But on the relative plane, somebody gave me a really cool tool many years ago, uh, because I think it was heading into holiday time and everybody was expecting to see a lot of family and oh, there's going to be a lot of triggers. I know this. I know there's going to be hard things. It's going to be a long day or a long weekend or whatever. And somebody gave me this tool from a different tradition that actually applies here in multiple ways. So if you can imagine, you know you're going to go into a situation and my mom's going to say this and it's going to trigger I know it's going to trigger that like ugh, and want to react or whatever and I'm not looking forward to it. And a kind of a a view you can take ahead of time or like a plan for that day may be something like going in with like a mental bingo card like rather than be in the throes of reactivity. I'm actually going to play a little game where I'm observing people around me and maybe I'm observing my reaction. So when my mom does say the thing that like just makes that grab and then I shut down, I can't hear anything else, right? Like Annie was saying, like um getting into that state of just like I can't actually see straight anymore. Instead, if I have that internal like bingo card in my mind can be like, oh, yep, she did that. Yep. Noticed it. And without like having to do anything about it. And then when the next person does the other thing you know is going to annoy you that day or be difficult to deal with, it can just be like a neutral, like, oh yeah, there it is. And just I don't know, I found it to be really helpful in family settings, holidays, and that type of thing. But I guess you could do it either with looking at other people's behaviors or beliefs or whatever in action, or you can do it with if you don't get there that early, you can do it with oh, there's that reaction that I get from this. Oh yeah, without having to do anything about it. It could create just enough of a pause to stay in the gap and not have to do anything about it. So I had a lot of things queued up, so I'll stop talking now, but it's been a really cool meeting so far.
I did that too in my own way. I didn't call it a bingo card, but I used to be like, I would set up intentions when I was like doing inquiry. I would set up an intention to see ahead of time. So I would sit like if I was going somewhere for the weekend to my mom's or something, and I knew that they were going to be the way they were. I would go through every scenario in my head prior to getting there. And I would say, what would they say if this happens? What would they do if this happens? And then when I would do that, just like she said, it would like make it would take all the I pre-felt the energy of it, and then I could just watch it when I got there. And that made it a whole lot easier to deal with and good for practice.
Yeah, the that idea of a bingo card, it makes me really think of bringing in an element of curiosity or play because it's sort of a way to not have to create distance from the reactivity. So you're still can fully see it. You don't have to, you know, vilify it, but also not have to do anything with it. It's just like, ah, cure, like bingo, there it is. So that I like that.
Maybe even welcome the sensation.
Framing is so important. Working on like the path and working on the way you frame things is so important. Like that's what perspective is about. That's what gratitude's about. Framing it like that, like a bingo card, make it playful. If you have a really bad thought, replay the thought right then and there and do it in a different voice, in like a stupid voice. I used to do that. My suicidal thoughts, I would replay them in like Daffy Duck voices or something like that. And then I would be like, I'd just talk about how silly it was to it's like, oh, it would just lessen the impact of the thought and make it less personal over time. I did all kinds of things like that. And then like I don't remember who it was that posted it, but the one about Jeff Foster in the group about his dad, and his dad had been problematic his whole life, and then just seeing him as like a fresh experience in the moment. It's like you can see it's just compassion because you just see like this person who's been operating from these conditions just like you are, whether they turned out to be bad or dangerous conditions or whatever, but you see the child with all the conditioned clothes on and you take those off and you just see this thing doing the best it can in the moment. It's just like so it's like a lot of forgiveness and compassion. And it doesn't mean you have to like love them in the sense of being in a relationship with them or like putting up with anything they may further do, but in immediacy, you just see this thing that's this not an entity, but this set of conditions that's reacting as best it can in the moment. It can make a difference too. That's part of framing also.
Yeah, it's I find hard, if not impossible, for something like anger or resentment to stick to something that you actually see and view as totally innocent. And sort of when you sometimes if you can, as you're saying, like taking off the conditioned clothing or just seeing that there's just something really innocent there, I don't know, that like activates some deeper empathy response, and it totally disarms a lot of the other uh, overbearing mechanisms.
Yeah. Sticking a wrench in any of that, like the thought is an emotion, and the emotion begets a thought. It's just a swirl of, and if you stick clear seeing in there anywhere, like a wrench in the mechanics, you're gonna be like start breaking down that, and you're gonna be like, oh, like you said, it doesn't have to be. It's not related. It's related because the thought gets sticky onto it and makes you believe that it is. But that's what pulling your experience apart does. It's you start to see that, and you can't hold on to that kind of stuff when you see it in immediacy. You can't hold on to it. It has to be in the mind. In the moment, you can't hold on to it. You only hold on to it in the thought loop, in the disassociation. And it gets really weird too. If you're not talking about personal experience, when you break reality itself down, like the sounds and the touch and the taste and what you're seeing, that's not dual. That's like that when you start breaking those down and detaching the labels and all that from them, then you can get a kaleidoscopic centerless experience of consciousness without nobody in the center. And that gets fucking really weird. It's fucking real weird. But it's like you're taking that's like twofold emptiness. You're taking emptiness of self when you're looking at all those things that you're doing and projecting, and then later emptiness of objects, emptiness of the world is like on the latter half of things, and it gets freaky. It gets crazy, and you really start to be. I mean, shit really starts to be mysterious, really mysterious, and you're just like, it's almost like you can't even contain it, and you really can't. It's like you can't figure this out. It's not going to happen. It's like I've tried so many years. Like I want to know so bad what's behind the curtain. What's going on? I need to know. I need to know. That was a thought I kept believing about this path, and it was fucking making me suffer like crazy. And it's just like the way it looks to me now is like I there's no figuring it out. But I'm also open to new insights about it, about reality as I go. And then obviously when I die, there'll be something else, some kind of insight. And if I happen to be wrong and it's nothing, well, I won't be there for it anyway. So it's like whatever.
Tony, this is reminding me. I was just curious if anybody else here did that hand exercise because it got really trippy, like you're talking about. I mean, maybe it's not like what you're talking about, but it got really trippy for me.
Mm.
Yeah.
No, it is. No, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'd take my hand. I did it a little differently, but it's same results. I'd take my hand and I'd put it on a color that's opposite my hand, like red or yellow or something that makes a deep contrast. Like if you have a really big pillow or a sheet or something, you can put it on, um, and just sit there and look at it, and don't look at it like you're trying to examine. Just relax. Just relax your gaze and relax your idea of what a hand is, and just look at it against the backdrop of that other color, and then just look at how like you start to not it becomes one thing, like you start to not see edges and you can't make out further or closer.
Well, and like when I was doing it, it's like when it all kind of fell away, and like I had this, we have this understanding of what a hand is, but when you take that away, it's just like what is this thing? It's just, to me, it was just really weird. It was almost like an inanimate object, like it was almost like this weird, like that rubber hand. It was like the rubber hand.
Yeah.
And then when I
Yeah.
did it with the dog, that got really weird.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
But like if you put your hand there and you're looking at it, first it's you're releasing the conceptual view of the world. So first you release the idea of the hand, and then it's just form, shapes, and colors. And release that's like a more base conceptual view. Form, shapes, and colors are not as descriptive as a hand. A hand is the most solidified. Oh, that's a hand, and that's my hand. That's real solidified, right? So looking at it for a long period of time and just sitting with it is a great practice because it starts to desolidify the outside world, and then it starts to become form, shapes, and colors, and then it drops away, and then it becomes this weird, very strange, mysterious looking, and it even changes the size. It can stretch, it can move, it can start to glimmer, or it can do all these things. And then if you sit there long enough, it'll start to become not your hand.
it wasn't my hand. That
Yeah,
was
you'll start to
actually,
see it from that's what I mean too. You're looking from reality's eyes. You're looking from the field, and the hand is now an object in the field, just like the pillow or the dog or anything else. And then it's like you're outside of that. The body is contained within consciousness, not inside, not the person inside behind the eyes. It's a great
yeah,
practice.
it is. Yeah, I was
And then
just
also, check this out. Also, in the felt sense, if you're putting it there, or you're putting it on a chair or something like I did it with chairs too. Um, you notice the sensation of the link between your hand and the touching of the chair, and you feel it, and you go, "Where is that sensation?" But your belief in a self, and a hand, and a chair, and an outside world, you go, "Oh, it's on the chair." But that's just taking it too far. That's taking it too for granted. Look closer. There, you can't find it. If
yeah,
you're really looking, that sensation is unlocatable. It's there, it's mysteriously there, but you cannot say where it is. You can't say it. You're like there. It's like, where's there? And when that sense, if that drops away enough, especially after realization, it's like it's not in space. It's like it's just an unlocatable appearing thing. And that actual touch and the hand are not actually linked. It's like when you go to a movie and the soundtrack or the score is different from the movie. They're made differently, but they play together, and they appear to be fully connected, like they are the same. But they made that soundtrack after the movie was made, and they put it on top of the movie and made it like it's one thing to elicit emotion and ideas about the movie and to get you invested. And there's like if you ever watch a movie with the sound off and see some of the things that are happening, that's like they're like walking down a hall like in a spy movie, and it's like dun dun dun, it's like and you're like getting all, if you take that music away, it looks boring as hell. It looks like a dude just walking down the hall looking around. It's hilarious. You take the drama right out of it. The ideas of the world create the drama around it. The ideas you believe about shadow work and about yourself and about the world and about other people are the drama. They're like the glue of the story. And that's what we're all participating in. And you start stripping that away and you start looking, and that's like a great exercise to do it in objects. It's like, what the fuck is going on here? Then it's
yeah,
like super mysterious and
that
crazy.
that like nothing, like everything I see has been framed a certain way. I've been taught to see it a certain way. Like we have this agreement, right, as humans, and I see, and so when that goes away, then everything you think you see isn't what you see. Like that's why I was talking about the curtains and my dog, and even my hand when I was looking at my hand for a long time, it had like an involuntary movement, and I didn't do it. And that got really weird, like it wasn't like my brain was like, oh, I'm going to do this thing.
Yeah.
It happened. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a good exercise.
Yeah. It's fun. It's creepy and it's
Hmm.
crazy. It's very creepy. When you start looking at stuff and pulling apart, reality gets a little creepy, a little strange. You're
Yeah,
like, okay, I don't know what the hell's going on here, truly. It's all feels solidified and it actually isn't at all.
yeah,
It's like in like quantum mechanics, they talk about the things spinning or whatever that are spinning, or all the electrons and all that stuff in science. It's talking about it's spinning underneath. The closer you look, it's molecules, electrons spinning and creating all this solidification. And it's like Well, what do they say? It's like something about Sean, I don't know, but it's something about slowing down. It's like the slowing down of it makes it seem solidified or something like that. There's some kind of talk. I don't know. I'm not an expert on it,
Are you
but
talking
it's
about
almost like when you're looking at it that way, it's almost like you're looking at a telescope and it's starting to break apart a little bit as much as our eyes can see or whatever you want to say. It's fucking weird. It's weird, truly.
What you guys were
And it makes
talking
you
about.
real full, it makes you really have humility. It's really like, I don't know what the hell's going on. So then when somebody starts philosophizing, you're just like, bro, you don't know what the hell's going on. I don't know what the hell's going on. Everybody should relax because we don't know what's going on. It's just funny. It's just like it's just so mysterious.
it's like that?
And so the conclusions drop away, right?
Yeah,
You start needing conclusions to life and you just start living it because you don't know what the hell's going on, but you know you are it. When the centerless stuff drops away, the separate self, it's like I don't know what it is, but I know I'm it. And there's like a relaxation there. And the conclusions that need to be made about reality stop needing to be made, ungrasping, just living in the intimacy of the moment, intimacy of the sensations. So it's like without that grasping, non-dually, the sounds are mesmerizing. The toilet was mesmerizing. The birds are mesmerizing. My favorite thing ever now is to listen to music that I really like and really just hone in on it as this mysterious happening. It's like it's the craziest thing and like because it replaces me all the time. And I'm not hearing it from inside the head. I'm hearing it from where it's coming from. So when Jimi Hendrix does a blues guitar solo and it's like it comes right through here like a lightning bolt. And it's so mysterious and it's so amazing. And then like last week when I talked about how I was crying for like 3, 4, or 5 minutes, sobbing, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the sobbing, like mysterious nature of what this is and how we can compound it into super cool guitar solos and caring for animals or uh, doing stuff with our friends and laughing our ass off and losing the moment of that. It's like and then all the other shit that's termed bad that we have in relativity that is bad in relative terms. It's like just the fact that it can all happen. It made me like sob like crazy because it's sad and happy, and I couldn't find the difference. Like that's weird when you can't find the difference between super sadness and super happy as an experience. Like what does anything mean anymore? So if people want to philosophize about what this is, and it's fun to talk about that, but compared to that experience, man, you can have it. I don't want it. You can be right about it if you want to be. When people do that, like scientists are, it's like, go ahead, speculate. It's fun to speculate. I love watching science shows and I love learning more about what the way they organize. I love the naming and the organizing and seeing new planets and finding new things in this mysterious solar system and what's outside of it and parallel universes. I love all that stuff. But as far as like the experience of this and what we're talking about, that doesn't compare to the actual experiencing of what I'm talking about. It's like, ooh, I'm that, but not as Tony. It's wild. And you can't fully articulate that to somebody. They have to experience that. They have to see that. But that's what we're trying to do here, right? That's what we're talking about. John, you say something else?
Well, you reminded me of something, but I think Alyssa had a thought. No. Oh. Yeah, just this reminded me of another thing that's um, sort of revealed itself after dropping this limiting belief I mentioned earlier of like, I need to avoid anything that could be labeled as thoughts or conceptualizing, which is um, basically what is this, but the this being the direct experience. That's something that I feel like it was a while ago. Uh, it was pointed out to me that like don't do that because you're trying to like understand it and that's you should throw it out and I think that absolutely is a real failure mode but it got tied to this sense of like I shouldn't ask that or look into that because that's the conceptual machinery um And now I'm realizing, oh no, actually, I absolutely can look into what is this. It's just hard to com for me to put into words properly that that question can be asked without the expectation of a conceptual answer, which I also find interesting in a separate bucket, but it's sort of it's legitimate and I'm finding really interesting to really just ask like what is direct experience? Like what actually is it? Um, and yeah, right, it's hard to articulate what I mean by that question, but it's not
I know
a
exactly what you mean. But
because it's
don't you see how that is that's fucking it right there. That's juicy.
yeah,
It's
and
not
it's
a fucking concept. It's like I want to what is direct experience? And you're energetically curious and you're earnest about that question. That's what reality wants.
and
That's how
not
you
even the
penetrate
idea,
it.
and it's not just the idea of what is direct experience, but like as I'm asking that, like I want to say I'm looking at it or feeling it, but like but this, right? You can the thoughts are still there, the interpretation of the thoughts are still there,
Yeah, they
but
always will be.
but actually like this is not a I want to say this is something. Okay, words are hard, but like you can really as a legitimate curiosity try to feel into or look into or just directly like this is a something that isn't whatever ideas I have about it. And it is what was Annie was saying with like the hand thing of you can try to deconstruct. I always find this tricky of like, okay, where's the sensation of my hand meeting the chair? Or if I just flip it around and I don't even try to deconstruct and just like what is this? Um, it's something before thoughts, or not before in time, but like with it's here whether or not there are thoughts about it. And that's really freaking interesting. So
Mhm.
that was a whole thing I realized I've just been throwing that out every single time because like, oh no, that's concepts. But this whole discussion reminds me that's another thing. Yeah.
Even saying the word deconstruct is like all of the words ultimately become too much. It's funny. We talk about it and I say deconstruct your beliefs. And it's true what I'm saying relatively as you're working on this. But from the other seeing, you're just clear seeing the processes. You don't have to do anything. You don't actually have to deconstruct. If you're curious as you are and you're really looking, it will deconstruct right in front of you because it's always deconstructing. You're just solidifying it with ideas and concepts all the time. And that releasing, that relaxing, you start seeing, oh, I'm doing that. And you do it even more.
Yeah, and it's as you're saying that I realize another thing that happens is if there is a thought that pops up and says, "Oh, I understand what this is." Um, Nothing wrong with that, but if that's taken to be the answer, that stops the inquiry or it stops the curiosity because it's
Yeah,
like, "Oh, I figured it out," but
100%.
you didn't.
No, what's a fucking bird? You call a bird like a owl, and then you go, that's an owl. I know what that is. That's an owl. You stop looking at it. Look at it real closely. That's not an owl. That's some really mysterious shit. They don't have a clue what that is. But because we've labeled it so long and everybody calls it that, we accepted it. And it's fine. In the relative, it's fine to organize things that way and organize things in science. And that's how you get cooperation. That's how buildings are built. And you have to have relative, it's the same thing. It is the unconditioned conditioning itself in loops and forms and shapes and ideas, and it's all the same. It's all the same.
Yeah,
But the thread that runs through all of that is always there, you could say. It is the unconditioned conditioning itself as an appearance. So within the appearance of the thought loop, the appearance of relative life, of course you need order and you need to figure out how things work so you could build cars and then build planes and we could get places faster and we could do things. And it's gorgeous. It's like the play. It's like the play. It's like the game. It's like, yeah, that's what we're doing here. We're playing, we're doing all this crazy shit, inventing all this stuff and all this crazy AI stuff that's coming up now that's so awesome. And it's like, what? It's like I was joking. I was talking to Alyssa about this the other day. When I was a kid, Karate Kid was like one of my favorite movies. It's like I loved it. And then in part two as well. So I just saw a thing the other day with AI where the guy AI it's like in the last 6 months, even, it's astonishing how much better it is. Because I love movies, so I'm always looking at the movie stuff. So there's like an AI on Instagram the other day of the Karate Kid, and they're like making alternate versions of it. And you're just like, never in my life did I think I would see these same actors doing things in a different way. And they were making it goofy and stuff, and it was just like being dumb, and it was funny, but it was still astonishing to me. And then I realized my mind never even contained that I would ever see a different version of this movie because it's a movie that's been made and it's a long time ago. But I'm astonished that I'm now seeing a different version that looks almost real, like very close to real. You can still, right now, you can still see some stuff, but 3 or 4 years from now, it'll be identical. And that is amazing. But what the most amazing part about it to me was that I thought something was one way, and now there's life is presenting me with an entirely new way of looking at this. Think about all the possibilities that emerge from just that one idea changing. Now think about how complex life is and can do that with anything all the time. So it's like on this path, it's like at the beginning, it's like all about me, and why am I suffering and all that stuff. And so that's part of it. But the deeper this goes, the more mysterious it gets and unfathomable. And you can't contain it with a concept or a scientific, algorithm or any of that stuff. It's like they're continuously trying to figure that out, and it's fun. But this thing has like infinite depth. So for me, that creates infinite humility and more humility as it goes, and more difficulty in explaining what it is to people as you're trying to talk about this stuff. But you're it. You realize you're that infinite depth, but you can't pin it down and you can't contain it. And so when somebody says something like, it's like this, right? Hell no, it's not like that. It's like that in a point of view for a little bit of like a little splice of it might be, but so what? But the mind wants to contain and wants to control life and say, we're going to do this and I'm going to do that. And within the relative, it's cool because then you get CERN and you get, cool shit happening and you get new medical treatments and people live longer and things. That's awesome. But when you start getting down into the ultimate reality, it's like, you're not solving that.
Yeah, I want to
It's insanely cool how infinite depth and mysterious it is.
I want to just add on to that idea because this is such a big one for me, this thoughts versus that it's okay to explore this and have thoughts, and that doesn't mean I'm doing it wrong. And this is making me realize another downstream, I guess, limiting belief of that was that there had to be a tension between, how did you say it? Like the relative understanding of what we use for science and technology versus the sort of direct, immediate, ungraspable of this. And
Yeah.
I've had this belief that one of those has to be wrong, right? That if the absolute is actual, then it means the relative, like those descriptions are wrong. But I know from science and all my entire life, like, but this is very useful. And I'm realizing maybe it's a stepping stone realization, I'm not sure, that you can have both, right? That the descriptions, those can be true, the like scientific categorizations, those can be self-consistent and
Yeah.
true. And also, that doesn't mean that they are uniquely capturing whatever this is, right? They're just direct experience, and that the direct experiencing is happening regardless of whether or not thoughts are interpreting it one way or another way. But that doesn't mean that the thoughts have to be false. That the thoughts can be, science can be true, it can be self-consistent. I don't know if I'm articulating this well, but I'm
I know what you
realizing that
mean.
there was this limiting thing happening in my head, and I can let go of that, and it's really interesting.
Yeah. I'll give you a cheat code. Nothing needs to be left out. You can work with it all.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Don't make any of it the enemy. Don't make any of it wrong. But like you're talking about, it's like the thing I talked about the football analogy for the football stadium. Within you go into the stadium, you are entering a place where rules about the game are put in. So the 100-yard line is from there to the touchdown, touchdown to touchdown, 100 yards. That's a rule. So within that rule, then they can make other rules and other organizations about the game and says, well, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. When you leave the stadium, the football rules don't mean shit. outside the stadium. You know what I mean? So within the stadium of life, scientists can make all kinds of rules and they can make all kinds of organizational principles that are way smarter than me for sure. And I'm fascinated by it. But outside of that, getting a direct taste, a direct encounter with reality, it's like the beliefs can't survive that. They just burn right up because there's like no one way that it is. And that's the coolness of reality is like it's unpinnable and it's mysterious. And I can't even say talking about that it's this way. It is I can't even say truthfully can't say there is no one way. There's no one way from my point of view, from what I've seen, but from there could be who knows? It's like outside of this experience we're having, it could be something it is something that I haven't thought of, just like the movie thing. It is something. There's like a scientist who said something like, we can't know what reality is. We don't have the ability to know, or I don't know what the quote is, but it's like a famous quote about it. It's like, it's not that we can't, it's something we can't know. We don't have the faculties. It's like, but if you loosen some of the restraints of the game and then you get an experience outside, it's like infinite, this immensity. When the non-dual thing happened at retreat, I got a taste of this immensity when those filters fell away, or whatever you want to call them, fell away, and the energy hit me like a ton of bricks, and it was extremely uncomfortable. Like I didn't like it at all, and I just did my best to sit with it and not flap around on the floor or do any kind of stuff. But it was hitting me like a full on. It's like an energy I never felt before. It's just indescribable, and it was kind of harsh and very uncomfortable, and it lasted till the next day. And it was just and it didn't feel like bad, but I mean I didn't think of it as bad. It just was like so immense. It was like it felt like more than the system could kind of handle. And I was doing my best to handle and breathe, and I was shaking like I mean I was literally shaking like uncontrollably like this, like so fast. And that's uncomfortable. After 2 or 3 hours, that's uncomfortable. It's like God. But it was almost like a shot to the face, like, hey, here's a little bit of a look, but you can't, your brain will explode if I give you the whole deal. So it's like after that, it's like, wow, I really want to go deeper. And it's just infinite. You just keep dropping, infinite depth. And that's why the path kind of doesn't make sense. Because where's a path if you're in an infinite depth and an infinite ocean with no edges? Where's the path at? You're just in it. And you explore and you sink and you do stuff and you're getting little tastes like that hand experiment like Andy did. It's like you're like, holy shit, something's disorganized here from the way I thought it was. So what do I know? I don't know nothing. So that's why all the conceptual stuff can get like, yeah, okay, if you want to do that, go ahead. But it's like to me, I'd rather just live and be mysteriously curious instead of trying to pin it down anymore. And I did used to do that like hardcore. And I got exhausted by it. And I realized, oh, that's not that's not giving me that give me the most complicated theorem about the world and let me be the master at it. I will drop that in a heartbeat to feel that Jimi Hendrix guitar blues go through my system any day. You can have $1 billion. I'll keep that. It's like I don't need it's like the ordinary. It's like you don't need to transcend either. It's like, holy shit, this ordinariness is so mystical and mysterious. Like I don't need all that other stuff. But I can also have fun looking at it. And I still do. I watch science stuff all the time, documentaries and stuff. I'm not rejecting any of it. I'm saying it's all part of it, right? It's all part of it. Yes, and it's genuine humility. It is genuine humility. It is starstruck. So when I see a teacher and I'm doing YouTube videos now and I can ramble on and I can say stuff and maybe it's not the straightest stuff yet, but when I see teachers who say stuff like it's this way and they act very arrogant about it or they do, I'm like, dude, something's wrong there. You're missing something because if you don't have that deep, genuine humility and you think you've mastered something, I got news for you. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking. There's a delusion there somewhere, and it's not my responsibility. You know, there's a kind of famous teacher who's some of the stuff they do. I'm just like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Ugh.
Like, I don't know what you're talking about. But I don't have to, I guess. But I really want to reiterate in this Zoom especially what Annie's talking about with the thing and how at the beginning it's like selfish because you're coming from that self view. It's like I want to, and it's fine. It's like suffering. I want to get out. So then you genuinely want to know, and you genuinely start looking. But if you don't have the earnestness to look or the real curiosity to get under your suffering, and you're just living out your loop, that's fine too. But this stuff requires you're not going to get to those infinite depths. You're not if you don't have that, and if somebody doesn't have it, everybody here has it, or you wouldn't be in my little stupid Zoom in this corner of the universe. You know what I mean? Everybody has, but if you don't have it, you have no, unless you just get starstruck by something for whatever mysterious reason. That definitely happens. I don't know why that happens. Um, you're going to live it out, but I want people to really take in what I'm talking about how you start off in the self-centered view, and then the more you get out of that view and start breaking that stuff down, everything widens and gets more mysterious and more humbling, and there's infinite depth there, and it's like whoa. It just becomes whoa, and it's like, and when someone says tell me what the realization's like, I can't. I just can't. It's not, it's like you have to see it directly. You have to see that. And then if I tell you the best I can about it, and then somebody says, "Well, what about this?" or arguing, it's like I don't want to argue. If you don't believe me, go watch something else. I don't care. Just watch something else. Go look for the next teacher to conceptually give you something, and then 10 months later you'll be like, "Holy shit, this isn't working either." And it's like jumping from teacher to teacher. It's like, what's the common denominator? It might be my conceptual understanding and need to know might be the problem, you know? But it's like what I want to reiterate here is that that mysteriousness never stops, and it drops, and you get more humble, and it gets deeper, and it gets like whoa, and it's fun to deconstruct reality in that way if you feel led to, and it's crazy stuff, but it's awesome too. And even if you can't figure that out, even to touch it, to get a taste of that centerlessness or that whatever expanding field that can't be pinned down, it's like you'll never forget that, and it will inform everything you do. But it's not an achievement, and it all happens right here. It's not a path. On the relative level, you could call it a path, of course, and it is. It's both and it's neither, and that's what the paradox of life is, and that's why it's so damn confusing from the relative standpoint. It's why it's so confusing, and it grabs people so much because you're trying to figure that out from the little relative standpoint of this ultimate insane reality that probably doesn't even have an ultimate to it. It probably changes too much to have an ultimate to it. That's the way it feels to me. But what the fuck do I know? I just got a little taste of it. And I'm trying to help people have less suffering and become more mysterious, get more mysterious. But the path is not taking, it's giving. You're giving it all away to the mysteriousness, and it's giving you back a taste of it, you know? And if you get cocky about that, then you're in the relative. And if you start thinking you're in the relative and you're stuck. You're stuck in conceptual understanding. And then you can stay stuck for the rest of your life. Or you could see it like you did, Sean. Oh, this is blocking me. See it, drop it, keep going. Now you're plumbing the depths. You're still plumbing the depths. So yeah. Go ahead, Sands. Sands. Sorry.
Mm. Thank you. This has really been awesome. I have an entire page of notes. It's just like couldn't get it down fast enough.
I think I'm gonna, if y'all don't mind, since nobody said anything personal, I think I'll share this one on the YouTube because it was really good. Everybody was so participating so well and like really getting into it. Man, that's what I want this fucking group to be, right? It's the only reason
Yeah,
I'm doing it.
right on, man. So, uh, Sean, thanks a lot for that. Really appreciate your share. It was awesome. So I really just wanted to share a little tiny thing. Occasionally, I like to read the Tao Te Ching, but I read the version that's interpreted by Red Pine, uh, and he's fantastic at um, translating Chinese. He's very well known just for that. And so I was just reading one this morning about simplicity, nameless simplicity. And as you were talking just a minute ago, Tony, that came to mind. I had like uh so one of the commentaries from this translation, it was about nameless simplicity, and it just very simple. Name takes sides, complexity limits options. Hence, those who uphold nameless simplicity don't take sides and keep their options open. It just
Awesome.
Could you read
that
that
just
one more time?
sure. Uh, name takes sides, like naming things, like what you were talking about, Tony. Like, you know, so name takes sides. I got to name something now. I'm taking a side. It means something, now I'm giving it something. So name takes sides. Complexity limits options. Hence, those who uphold nameless simplicity don't take sides and keep their options open. And the way I see that is from what you were saying is just living in the wonder of what the fuck is this? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's how I see it. Just living in what the fuck is this? Why do I need to try and figure it out? You know, just fucking live it because you're never gonna figure it out,
Yeah.
and then that way it frees it's very freeing.
Yeah. Think about the relaxation of not making conclusions.
Yes, imagine that.
Just the relaxation of it, of not making conclusions.
Mhm.
But then also think about when you do make a conclusion or you do, that is reality making conclusions. So you don't have to judge yourself for doing it. It is part of it. It is part of the conditions. So when I say don't judge and you judge, you're locked yourself into conceptual, you're locked in that loop. So I'm just trying to get you to relax the judgment, to relax the grasping ultimately. And when you're not grasping, the less you grasp, obviously the less you're holding on. And if you grasp all the way, you're falling through mystery without touching anything, no grasping. That's you're living in immediacy. Really, the my best moments when I'm not grabbing, touching anything at all, which happens sometimes now, not all the time, but when it happens, dude, I mean, total exertion, like Dogan says, full on immediacy, flow. I could die right there. It's like, and I'm not that way all the time. Believe me, things can grab me. But the difference is before I was like, what am I grabbing? Now I'm like, I just grabbed, no big deal. It's just the unconditioned conditioning a little. And you relax it, no judgment. And then it's just like, and there's no conclusions, less conclusions, relaxing, relaxing, relaxing. And that's what's so weird about the path and paradoxical is when a teacher or somebody says, just relax. Or you're like, fuck you. It's like I'm trying to relax. And it's like you get that when you're in the middle of it, it's like it seems like such a simple thing. And you're like, I need more. I need more so it's like when you get more understanding, you need less. You don't need more concepts, you need less. When you get more understanding, less concepts, more living, And then when you don't do it right, so what? Try again the next instant that the unconditioned gives you constantly. I like that. I was reading the Tao Te Ching recently, but I have the famous one, Jane English version. That one sounds really good that you got. I'll have to get that one. Put that in the group for me so I don't forget about it.
Sure will. I think you'll love it. This guy, he's just Red Pine is great.
Yeah,
He's really great. Sweet man. He's just a sweet old man sitting over there in the mountains in Washington, and just he's been all in China his whole life. He's just this great little guy.
super cool.
Yeah, all ready to
And
hear
then when you
you.
hear something, like when I first started reading about Dzogchen, I would hear things that I've said reflected in Dzogchen, but I didn't study Dzogchen. So then I would think you could have a grasping thought that was like, oh, look at me, I know this. And when you what you just read, it could be like, oh, I was just talking about that. But there's no ego there. It's not there. It's like, wow, it's just gratitude. It's just more gratitude for being allowed to even have a taste of that mysteriousness. And that's what people think. It's like, oh, they're masters or they're achieving something. No, it's like you're giving up achievement. It's like you're just wanting to live with what is without obscuration. It's just like it's that simple. But getting to that is not easy because there's a lot of beliefs and a lot of conclusions that need to be looked at. Not dispensed with, just looked at. And they unformulate themselves because you're the unconditioned. So it can uncondition itself anytime. So yeah, seeing that can be hard. And that's why you don't do the judgments. That's why you drop the judgments. A frame of I'm not judging myself for my flaws. Doesn't mean I'm not going to work on them. Doesn't mean I'm not going to do anything with them. But why does judging need to happen? You know? And I still judge myself sometimes. Don't let me sit here and make you think that I'm free of all judgment in the world. I'm not. But see, I don't care. I don't care anymore about that. Before I'd be like, oh, if I'm going to talk about this stuff, I got to be free of. No, fuck it. No, no, man. I don't care. I do it still. Yeah, I still do it. So what? I do it a lot less. That's good. That's good enough. And the times I do it, I'll look at it. And maybe it'll uncondition itself more and more. It's a mystery. It's just, it's kind of the view that it takes on. Less and less views, less and less needs to control the experience or to bottle it down into something that you can master. Will you type that also into the Telegram group just in case I forget so I can look at it later? Yeah, I want that translation. That sounds good. 8 minutes. Anybody got anything else to say? I don't think Jamie or Marcus had anything. You don't need to say anything.
Yeah, sure, I can say something. Yeah, I just relate to, I think, yeah, some stuff, yeah, everybody was saying, Sean and Annie and Rachel, um, that like yeah, when I'm doing inquiry, like when thoughts come up or when like a sense of self comes up, there's this tendency to be like, oh, like that's wrong because I have, because I kind of know the answer. Like, I know that like there's no self, right? Because I've heard that. And so it's like when that sense of self does come up, I'm like, oh, that's wrong. Like you're doing it wrong, you know? Instead of being like really like letting it come up actually really strongly, or same thing with like reactivity towards like family members, or beliefs or whatever. It's like almost like letting it take shape, like as strong as it wants to be, instead of like trying to, see around it or see through it or like, yeah, deconstruct it. Like, seems like often, yeah, there's like this resistance that I'm not noticing that comes with that. Um, and there's this not seeing clearly. Basically, what's happening is it's not seeing clearly my belief, and because or even to call it a belief, like is maybe somehow a little bit like separate from the actual experience. It's just um because yeah, like the like I'll say in my mind like, oh, that's a belief, or like, oh, that's a sense of self, instead of just really being in touch with whatever the experience is
Hmm.
in that moment. So yeah, that was I related to that and found that discussion, yeah, helpful. And yeah, the self-judgment thing too, that's huge. Like if I just like let go of self-judgment, then there's so much, I mean, there's so much relief in that, whatever's going on, you know.
Yeah, for sure. It's a big frame that traps people constantly. Still
Mm-hmm.
traps me sometimes, but
I
I
would
can't
just,
believe it anymore ultimately. So sorry. Go ahead.
no, I'm sorry to interrupt. I just, it, I love whenever this comes up about self judgment. Um, it has been so helpful to me to always have the reminder that self-judgment is the mind attempting to control. And just like this whole discussion led up to, and Tony already mentioned once, it's just making a conclusion. It's like I just need to name this and control it, so even if that makes me wrong or makes me bad, or the thing I need to know is a judgment about myself, right? Like it just, it's attempting to control and name and wrangle something because it's uncomfortable. So you might not even have to let go of self-judgment, but just see it for what it is.
Mm-hmm. Right,
Because
right.
if you can't let it go, then you're doing that wrong, right? Like, and yeah, it's clear seeing.
Mm.
Self judgment was a giant one for Alyssa, and then I talked to her about it, and she really took to it. And it's like I just watched her soften so much over a 2 year period of just that. Well, like not just that, but one of the big things we talked about was that she really grabbed onto and really took to heart and put into practice, and it was like made a huge difference. Yeah. Sands, are you still going to that Zendo thing you're talking about? Went to before?
Thanks for asking, Tony. I was gonna refrain from talking about it till I gave it a little more time, but I I got it straightened out, and I was gonna share a lengthy public discord that happened between myself and the teacher
Mm,
because he made a statement like sashina is the only way to awaken, and I couldn't let that ride. And
mm,
so I had to sit with it for a while before I responded because I wanted to respond kindly, but just say, no, you really can't say that, you know. Um, and so it ended well, and so I still go, but I no longer feel the need to fit in, agree with, uh, participate in the liturgy. Um, I like sitting. I do. I like zazen, you know. I don't need their approval. If they like me, they do. If they, I am feeling a little bit of shunning, but that's not my problem. I have to let them live with that. I
yeah.
kind of feel for them, because that's very limiting. But having sat with you guys and having gone to the retreat and stuff, it really, really got me through that. And I'm free of it, and I can go there a free person, and it feels really good.
Yeah. And the ego or Maya is everywhere, even Zendos.
Yeah.
Sometimes, especially those. It loves to sneak in the places where people expect it not to be. It's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get in there.
I was just gonna say that's a cool update, Sans.
Happy to
Cool.
share it. Yeah, I didn't want to drone on and on about it and bore you guys with it. So and I'll share the most of it at another time.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's pretty cool.
All right, Mark, you're the only one that didn't say anything. Do you want to say something or not? It's okay if you don't.
Don't have don't have much. I'm still, I mean, everything change is just changing so continuously in my meditations and insights, and I don't even know how to talk about it. Honestly, right now,
Okay.
I'm walking. That's just I'm really loving that, but still don't really know how to talk about it. So I'm gonna stay with it for a while, and I'll figure out how to talk about it at some point.
Okay. Cool. All right. This is one of my favorite ones.
It's been great, you guys. I really missed last week, but yeah, awesome.
It's so crazy too, the mysteriousness of like the way I talked about it today. I've never talked about it before. I mean, in some ways I have, of course, but it's like there's infinite depth for how to discuss this too. And there's all kinds of teachers that discuss it in different ways, and it's just amazing. It's just like you can't pin it down. It can be talked about in all kinds of ways. Yeah, it's super cool.
Remember, remember yesterday when I said when I realized in my yoga training when I was really getting uh was really getting into something and I thought like, oh my gosh, I haven't studied this yet. I need to study with this teacher. I need to learn this. I got to be able to teach like this. And then one day it was just like there's enough yoga for everyone forever. Like it doesn't like nothing needs to be pinned down. Like you said, I actually think that was the best little pithy thing you said all day was it's unpinnable. I think
Yeah,
is really, really, really great. Yeah.
yeah,
Such a good session.
yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
All righty.
Thanks, everyone.
See y'all later.
Y'all have a good week.
This is great.